Welcome back to Proxy, everybody, and today we're going to be diving into the 2024 December balance data slate. Now, I actually expected this at the end of the month, but it's here, so let's dive into it. And of course, we're going to be talking about it within the context of the Aeldari. Now, there have been quite a few changes to the core rules here, and we will go into them and we will discuss how they're going to benefit our army, because there's several that are going to be just, net buffs for our army in these certain matchups. So the first thing is 3-inch Deepstrike. And ladies and gentlemen, I told you guys I thought this was probably going to happen, and it has happened. They have nerfed 3-inch Deepstrike to 6-inch. And I do think that this is a fair way to do it. I think that 6-inch Deepstrike, there's still counterplay to that, but it is a significant advantage over 9-inch, especially because there's, some stratagems out there now with these new detachments that you can get charges off after the 6-inch Deepstrike and stuff like that. So overall, I think that's a much better play, better counterplay. It's still good, and I think it's going to be healthy for the game. This is, of course, great for the Aeldari because we are a fragile faction that doesn't have a lot of models, so screening was sometimes very difficult in certain phases of the game, and now it's going to be much easier to screen and much easier to, present some counterplay to your opponent. But that 6-inch Deepstrike, if you're not careful, can still really do some good work, especially with the grenade stratagem. So, of course, 6-inch Deepstrike still allows for the grenade stratagem to be used on the target. And we know that the grenade stratagem is very good against things like the Farseer and the Autarch Wayleaper. Now, this obviously is a nerf to units like the Tempestus Achillans and, things like Inceptors. I didn't really have a problem with Inceptors, and the only reason is because of our detachment. If we had any other detachment, any other army rule that just gave us worse Overwatch, I would say Inceptors would be a major problem. But I've never had a problem with them, guys, because I usually just overwatch them with something in the backfield and it dies, right? Especially when I'm running something like a Wraith Knight or running something like a D-Cannon, You roll your dice, you flip one of them to a 6, you re-roll, you could get lucky with another 6, you kill 2 Inceptors, and they only have 1 left. Yeah, they can use a grenade, but they've lost most of their units, so that's all they're going to be able to do that turn. Still really powerful, though, I have to admit. I've a couple times lost my Autarch Wayleaper to a grenade stratagem, lucky rolls and so forth, but there we go. Now it's a 6-inch Deepstrike, so there's going to be more counterplay to it, and dare I say, my opponents are not going to be able to pretty much use a grenade ever again until we get our Codex and we lose Phantasm, which may or may not happen. We'll see. So that's one thing. The other thing is stratagems that worsen armor penetration. So this is really good for a number of our units. This is really good for things like Bright Lances. How many times have you guys gone up into a matchup where you're fighting Imperial Knights or you're fighting, Space Marines or whatever, and they just layer smoke on top of Armor of Contempt, and then it's like almost everything bounces, right? They're getting +2 to their armor, essentially, you know, net-wise, they're getting +2 to their armor save, and you just can't get anything through. Well, now stratagems that worsen armor penetration only work against one unit. It is a reactive stratagem that helps against a single target. So, let's say you want to shoot a unit with your Falcon first to set up for some Fire Dragons. They're only going to be able to get -1 AP against either the Falcon or the Fire Dragons, not both. This is exceptionally good. Obviously, I think -1 AP to everything on Space Marine factions was just way too good, right, guys? Space Marines are already really heavily armored. They're already benefiting from things like smoke. They can double up on strats. And here's the thing, smoke still lasts a whole round, right? So you're still going to get cover the whole round. You're still going to get your -1 to hit. I think Armor of Contempt on top of that was a little too much, right? So they've said it only works against one attack now, which is good. This is a good nerf, in my opinion. I never personally thought it was going to be nerfed, I'll be honest, because it was like one of those things where, it was like, it's kind of like lightning fast reflexes. It lasts to the end of the round. I didn't see them nerfing this, but there we go. It's been nerfed. So that is a buff to several of our units, including Bright Lance units. Pulse Laser really likes it. Fire Dragons like it. And, we're going to be sitting pretty on that. There's not a lot of Space Marine tanks now that can successfully successfully survive against triple prism or double prism, fire dragons, falcon, and all that kind of stuff that we like to bring. Okay, so that's the changes to the core rules. Let's go on to the faction rules. Sisters of Battle got nerfed. And what got nerfed exactly? The number of fate dice they generate. So there's an important thing here, important caveat. Miracle dice are still in the game. They didn't change how miracle dice worked. They changed how many the Sisters of Battle are going to get. Which I was hoping for something more drastic. I was hoping for a complete rework of the ability and not just the same thing they did with the Aeldari, which was, oh, we'll just nerf the number of fate dice you have, right? Now, in this, the army special rule is essentially that they get 1 at the start of each battle round, so they get 5 total over the course of the game. But at the end of each phase, if 1 or more units from their army were destroyed, they also get 1 more. So they're not getting 1 miracle dice per unit anymore. They're just getting 1 dice per phase if any unit died in the turn. I think this is a lot more balanced, the way that they're generating dice. So realistically, if you're looking at shooting an assault phase, it's going to be significantly less miracle dice over the course of the game. That's just basically what it is. But it's still going to be very powerful, right? Sisters are still going to be able to save against numerous amounts of attacks, but it's just not going to be as good as it was before, simply put. They did, it seems, they nerfed the Triumph of St. Catherine, and yeah, they did nerf it. So now what it does is each time you gain 1 miracle dice at the start of your battle round, not every time a unit dies, if the models on the battlefield don't roll a d6 to determine the value, it has a value of 6. So that's at the start of the battle round, so they're only getting 5 6s throughout the battle round. So basically it's kind of the same thing as the Farseer, except a little better, to be honest, because you don't have to be within 12. So, but the Triumph of St. Catherine is, albeit, much more expensive than a Farseer, so I understand that change. At least I'm pretty sure it is. As for the Bringers of the Flame detachment, the most popular one, they got several nerfs to their stratagems, all of their unit abilities. So, for example, the Fervent Purgatation detachment rule got reduced to 6 inches to add 1+ strength to the attack, which makes sense. 12 inches was a lot for an army that had assault on all their stuff. Same thing with the Rites of Fire stratagem. That's going to be reduced to 6 inches. A couple of their stratagems are getting increased to 2 CP. This detachment's getting significant nerfs, that's for sure. Penitent Host, I don't know if that's a buff or not. I really don't. To be honest with you guys, leave a comment if you guys know if this is a buff or not. But it says you can select one of the following vows of atonement to be active for your army. Maybe it said, before you have to or you must select, and now it says you can select, so you don't have to select it. Not really a buff, not really a nerf, kind of just gives you some options there in certain situations. Again, let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. Adeptus Custodes looks like the shield captain on Dawn Eagle jet bike got buffed. Toughness 7 and 8 wounds. I think that's okay. I think the best part about the Custodes is the jet bikes. Of course I think this, right? Because I'm an Eldar player. But I'm not a big fan of Custodes, I'll be honest. I've never been a fan of their army. I've always thought they were kind of the noob tube of Warhammer 40k. And I know that's not the case nowadays, but I just remember when they first came out. And they literally were the noob tube of 40k back then. I mean, they were called that at the local game shop. It was a big thing. At least in my area in Southern California. So, yeah, I like the jet bikes and everything. I just don't like the faction. That's just my personal take on it. If you love Custodes, great. Obviously, having a Dawn Eagle jet bike with better toughness and wounds is awesome. And they also buffed the shield captain on Dawn Eagle jet bike. Their ranged weapons were, it looks like, also kind of buffed, but maybe I'm wrong. It looks like they gave twin linked, strength 10, AP -3 damage, d6+1. Again, let me know if this is actually a nerf. I don't know if it is or not. But I'm thinking it's a buff, because you got a Hurricane Bolter here with damage too, which is really good as well. Okay. So yeah, it looks like you're just buffing the jet bikes up a little bit, making them harder to kill. That's pretty expected. I heard this was going to happen anyway. I heard a rumor about it, and look at that. The rumor was true. All right, so Adeptus Mechanicus, they didn't get any changes, it looks like. At least not this time around. The Eldari didn't get any changes, nothing. Which sucks, because I was hoping for a Shadowseer change, but there we go. We'll just have to wait until the Codex for that. Astra Munitorum, let's see what happened in the Imperial Guard. They're probably going to get nerfed. Oh, look at that, nerfs. Lord Solar Leontis got nerfed, so he can now issue 3 orders to only regiment units or squadron units. That means, guys, I'm sorry. Our friends, the big boys, the Bulgrins and the Ogrins, the best boys, they're nerfed. They no longer can get things like take cover and take aim and all the good stuff that actually made them really good with Lord Solar. So no more. Only regiment and squadron units now. I think that's stupid. I know they wanted to reduce the power of the Ogren, but just make them more expensive. Don't just nerf their ability. See, I hate when they do that. They take the cool stuff away from a unit and they say, oh, we're nerfing it, we're taking the cool stuff away. No, just, keep the cool stuff. Just make them more expensive, make them more in line with what they should be. Right? That's how I've always seen that. But anyway, whatever. Moving on to the Tempestus Aquilans. Precision drop. This happened in the World's Championship, and they're keeping it. In your movement phase is when you can use the new 6-inch Deepstrike. So they have nerfed the Tempestus Aquilans are nerfed. I made a video about this, and I have to say a lot of people were mad at it. A lot of IG players, a lot of IG simps out there. Don't worry, I used to play the army too. I'm a bit of a simp myself for the IG. But the Tempestus Aquilans were pretty OP, let's be real. So I'm glad they got nerfed. Now people won't complain about them. I think they're a pretty balanced unit now with the new changes. And if my complaining friends are anything to go by, I believe they also got a points nerf, but we'll have to check that out in just a second. Okay, now I don't know much about Space Marines in general, but there's a few changes here. Looks like Chaos Knights. I think this is a buff. I think this within 12 is a buff. I think it was within 6 before or something like that maybe. So that's, I think, a little bit of buff. Again, I don't play Chaos Knight, so I don't really know. Looks like Black Templars got some minor changes here. The melee weapons of the Crusader Squad looks like it's a little better. Combat Knife is -1 to Armor Pen, which is a little bit better. I think it was 0 before. Chaos Predator Annihilator ability. So it looks like you can re-roll the damage roll now. I think it may have been re-roll the wound roll. Now they're just saying re-roll the damage roll. Okay. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Screamer weapons, it looks like they gave them anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4+. Don't know why, but I guess they thought Screamers weren't OP enough. Because, Screamers suck now, really. But, they wanted to make them a little bit better. Dark Angels. This is pretty interesting. Company of Hunters, their regular detachment looks like it got buffed. Mounted units from your army are eligible to shoot and declare a charge on a turn in which they advance and fell back. That's a great ability. Master of Maneuver, Raven Wing model only. That's the enhancement. You can re-roll advance and charge rolls made for the bearer's unit. I don't know if that's better or not. I think, was it an auto advance 6 inches before? Now they're just giving you a re-roll? Kind of sucks, if that's the case. Okay, here. Okay, so honestly, you guys, I don't know much about, the Death Guard and the Dark Angels and stuff. I don't know much about their rules, other than what, my buddy tells me when we play our games. Looks like, though, for the Death Guard, they gave the Annihilator. You can re-roll the damage roll. Same thing with the Chaos Predator. Mortarion is getting Deepstrike, which he will never use. So, whatever. Drukhari, doesn't look like any changes so far on them on the rules side of it, so they're safe for now. Although, I think I read that they did get some points nerfs, weirdly enough. Genestealer Cult. Okay, this is what I was waiting for. Now, the Cult Ambush Army rule is not random anymore. Instead, for a Strike Force game, you get 10 Resurgence points, and you can spend this to return destroyed models. Okay, so here's the thing right off the bat. I don't know if you get more throughout the game. It doesn't seem like it. I'm reading the rule. Really doesn't seem like you get more of them unless there's some sort of ability that they have built into the codex. But here we go, right? You get 10 points to spend, and if you want to bring back Aberrants, if you want to bring back 5 models, it's 5 Resurgent points. If you want to bring back 10, it's 8. If you want to bring back 5 Acolyte hybrids with auto pistols, Acolyte weapons, hand flamers, hybrid metamorphs, whatever. It's 2 points, so it's not very expensive for 5 models. It's 4 points for 10. So it looks like, these are the lesser units. You can bring them back for, between 3 and 6, depending on how many guys are on the squad. That's really not good, guys. It looks like you can only bring back 2 units in a game. So it looks like what you can do here is you can bring back 10 Aberrants and, 5 of this squad, or you could kind of do, you can kind of mix and match. You can bring back 20 Neophyte Hybrids and 5 Jackals, or 10 Pure Strain Genestealers and 5 Pure Strain Genestealers. So you're not going to be able to actually bring back that many units. Ugh, I don't know how I feel about that. Honestly, I think it makes the army more balanced in a way that you can prepare for what they're going to be able to bring in. But at the same time, I wonder if their models got cheaper. Because if they got cheaper, that's fine. This is great. But if they didn't get cheaper, uh-oh. Uh-oh, indeed. I guess their, 70% win rate is going to have to suffer a little bit. So, yeah, sucks for Genestealer Cult players. I'm so sorry that GW can't balance your rules right. And you're either in the dumps or you're on top of the world, but unfortunately, trust me, as an Eldar player, I know how you feel. Alright, they did change some stuff to the Tunnel Crawler stratagem. It's now 6 inches instead of 3 inches, just like everything else in the game. Yeah, I think this is a +1 to objective control. And you get sticky objectives, which is awesome. So that's a pretty good detachment rule for the Outlander Claw detachment. I think that's added on. That's pretty cool. Looks like they changed the range characteristic of demolition charges to 8. Ooh, actually, I think there might have been 12 or 10 before. Now they're 8. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Again, I may be completely wrong, right? But it seems like you can't deep strike and use this ability anymore out of Deepstrike. So you can't just pop up with Acolyte hybrids with demo charges and just wipe everything in the game out. You have to wait a turn. That's what this might mean. And plus, combine that with the now 6-inch Deepstrike, and it's going to be a little tough. Okay, Imperial Agents. Okay, they changed the Cuxalus Assassin, the Cuckold Assassin. They changed it to in your movement phase, so you can't, bring it in via rapid ingress within 6 inches, but it is 6 inches now. Okay, let's go down to Necrons here. We have the Annihilation Protocol detachment. Each time a destroyer unit from your army makes a range attack that targets the closest eligible target, add 1 to the armor penetration of the attack. By the way, guys, I think Necrons are going to be the top dog now. I've looked at their points costs briefly, and nothing has really changed of significance except a few nerfs to Catan shards. Everything else is either cheaper or barely changed, and a single model in particular, which is going to be super OP going forward, has not changed whatsoever, has not been nerfed. What did get nerfed, though, is Hypercrypt Legion. So the hyperphasing detachment special rule. In a Strike Force game, instead of being able to pick up 3 units a turn, you can only pick up 2 units a turn. This will kind of curb the massive amount of mobility that this army has, and I do think it's a good nerf. I've been saying that myself, is that to be able to pick up 3 units a turn, every turn, no matter what they are, and deep strike them, that's a little bit insane. 2 units is much more realistic. Okay, let's go down to Orcs. Looks like once per battle at the start of your command phase, they say now. I think before it was movement phase, which sucked because there was some sort of rules that allowed you to, basically gave you a benefit for having the wall. So now it's in the beginning of your command phase until the start of your next command phase. So I think that's actually a buff. Correct me if I'm in the comments if I'm wrong there, but I think that's what it is. So that's really good. So yeah, I think. Oh, this one's really good too. So Dat one's even bigger stratagem. Until the end of the phase, your unit is eligible to charge in a turn in which it advanced or fell back. That's awesome. In addition, you can reroll charge rolls made for your unit, provided one of the targets of that charge is your prey. That's really good. Now, the Big Hunt is one of the weaker detachments. So having a buff like that is kind of nice. That's pretty good. Okay, you got Gazgul, Thraka. If the Wall is active for your army, a critical hit is scored on a 5+. I think it was the same as before. Just change of wording there. Anything else? Oh, Space Marines got a buff. So the normal Space Marines got a buff to their Oath of Moment. Instead of just rerolling the hit roll, if it doesn't contain Black Templar, Blood Angel, Dark Angel, Death Watch, or Space Wolves units, you can add one to the wound roll as well. That's super powerful for taking out powerful stuff. Now, what I will say is I think between the combination of what we've seen in the new detachments and, of course, this new Space Marine army rule, I think once and for all, units like Wraith Guard, Wraith Blades are officially in the dumpster for competitive play. I don't think anybody in their right mind, with the buffs that we're seeing coming out of some of these factions as far as their lethality goes, are going to be, have any trouble whatsoever of dealing with Wraith Guard or Wraith Blades. I think Wraith Blades and Wraith Guard are in the trash. Avatar of Cain, I think, is in the trash as well. And by the way, correct me if I'm in the comments if I'm wrong here, but we've seen several factions, especially the new faction that just came out for Space Marines, a new detachment for Space Marines, the Psyker detachment, being able to spam tons of mortal wounds. Grey Knights can spam tons of mortal wounds. I think it's done. I think Avatar of Cain is a liability now more than ever. I think replace them. I think MSU style Eldar all the way going forward. 6-inch Deepstrike means that we're more, resilient against a lot of these armies that can now, spam mortal wounds. We can now screen them better and stuff like that. And I think these big, triple brick, for example, I think is triple dead. I think we won't really see this in competitive play anymore because there's just too much lethality on the field. I don't think, and if we do see it in competitive play, I don't see it winning a tournament if it matches into Necrons, new Necrons, new Grey Knights, new Space Marines, and honestly a couple of other factions that had trouble against before anyway. Again, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments and tell me what you guys think, but I think Triple Brick is officially dead, and I think Avatar of Cain is going to have trouble into these matchups. They also, it looks like they changed a lot of the rules on some of the Space Marine units. So the first thing, you see the Infernus squad actually get buffed. They now have AP -1. I was complaining about this unit in my Fire Dragon video. I said Infernus Marines suck because they have no AP. They gave them some AP, so that's pretty good. They're a better unit now. Are they going to be competitive? Probably not. I mean, they basically have heavy flamers now, right? The Pyre Blaster is a heavy flamer, essentially. It's exactly the same as a heavy flamer. I think it'll be alright. A squad of heavy flamers for 100 points. Pretty good. Inceptor squads got nerfed to the 6 inches, right? Infernus squads, now, instead of just taking a Battle Shock test, you subtract 1 from that same test. That's pretty good. Intercessor squads got this new special rule. Now, I read this somewhere, but it's really good. So, add new ability, target elimination. Now, here's the question. Does this replace the ability that they had before? The sticky objectives? I think it's actually just a new ability. Now, if it's just a new ability, I'm going to tell you guys right now, these guys are OP. You're going to see people taking massive amounts of intercessors. Now, let's read this. Each time this unit is selected to shoot, it can use this ability, including Overwatch. If it does until the end of the phase, add 2 to the attacks characteristic of bolt rifles equipped by models in this unit, and you can only select one enemy unit as a target of all its attacks. who cares? Right? You're never going to split fire with this squad. You're always going to go full on in. So with a squad of 5 guys, you're getting 20 attacks out of this unit. You're getting sticky objectives with the squad. If you oath the target, you're getting rerolls to hit with all 20 attacks. You're getting +1 to wound, which means against a lot of stuff, you're going to be now wounding on 5s. And they're only 80 points, 85 points. That's pretty damn good, guys. They just gave these guys a really fucking good ability. Intercessors are actually good. Now, what I hate about this ability is that it's not just in your shooting phase. At least it doesn't seem like it. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. It says selected to shoot. Maybe that's only the shooting phase, right? Yeah, you know what? Actually, maybe it's only the shooting phase. But it just, the way it's worded, it seems like somebody can kind of use it on Overwatch. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just overreacting to this. I think if you can use it on Overwatch, holy fuck, it's going to be insane, right? It's going to definitely, like, poke a bunch of holes in our Aspect Warrior units and stuff like that. Bolt rifles are pretty good at killing Aspect Warriors because they're -1 AP. So that's going to suck. But, you know, there you go. Intercessors are good again. They did it, guys. They made them really powerful. They gave them a, you know, adding 1 attack to the attack's characteristic would have been fine. Or if they just use this ability to replace sticky objectives. I don't like a unit that has 2 abilities. I just don't. I think each unit should have 1 core ability, you know, one actual ability on their datasheet, and then maybe a core ability or something like that. That's fine. But to just stuff 2 abilities on a unit, it's just too good. Okay, so we have some other stuff. Ironfather Pharios, Inspiring Commander section. Okay, OC3, gives him OC3, whatever. Darneth Lysander looks like he's a little better. You know, they buffed a lot of the characters, I think. Outrider units, improve the strength and damage characteristic. OC, so they got a new ability. Okay, so here's the thing. All right, this confirms it. When it says add new ability, that's just a completely new ability, and they get the old ability as well. If they say delete the turbo boost ability and add the following new ability, that means it's replacing it. Now the Outrider units get Thunderous Impact. If it makes a melee attack on a charge, it gets +1 strength, +1 damage. That's pretty good. I don't know if it's good enough to warrant using the unit, but damn. So I'm just going to let you guys know this right now. Space Marines are going to be really strong. They did nerf a couple things about them. Armor of Contempt, of course, nerfed, but they got a lot more damage. So they did get a durability decrease, but they got a lot more damage. Let's see Heavy Intercessors. So it looks like Heavy Intercessors, they buffed their ballistic skill in the Heavy Bolters. Their Heavy Bolt Rifle got buffed to damage too. Okay, and that's it. No one took these. Literally only my friend who doesn't really play competitively takes these guys. I don't see damage 2 being an issue. At least they weren't an issue for the Eldar, but they might be an issue for other factions. I don't know. I really don't think it's that big of a deal. Desolation units, they already got changed a long time ago. Alright, let's pass this because obviously it's really good. Robu Gilliman, I think, got buffed. Wolf Scouts got buffed. Their melee weapons. Okay. Tau Empire. Just kind of go through these. Thousand Suns Predator, reroll the damage roll instead of wound roll, I think is what it is. Okay, Trigon got nerfed to 6 inches with its Deepstrike ability, Subterranean Tunnels ability. Not eligible to declare a charge still. Alright, I mean, it looks like most of the stuff for Tyranids is the same. Looks like World Eaters is mostly the same except the Predator, which they changed. Okay, so Internal Fortitude. Oh, okay, interesting. Unless they already have a 5+ invulnerable save. Then they have a 4+ invul. So it gives a World Eater's infantry unit a 5+ invulnerable save, or if they have one already, it's a 4+ now. That's fine, right? I think they just changed this for, if I'm not mistaken, 8-bound, because 8-bound have a 5+, so therefore it becomes a 4+. Alright. Okay, so and then they added the Norn assimilator gets harvester keyword for this detachment. Okay, cool. All right, so that's the balanced data slate. I know I kind of passed a lot of those, but to be honest with you, I don't know everything about every single. Oh, we missed one. Hold on, guys. Sternguard veterans. Now they can just re-roll the wound roll altogether with the Oath of Moment. Oh, that's nasty. So okay, so if you guys don't know, Sternguard veterans have devastating wounds. They have combat weapons. So now you can re-roll the wound roll and the hit roll. So yeah, Space Marines looking pretty good. I don't think, Space Marine players have much to complain about with all the cool stuff that they did get. So that's pretty cool. I'm happy for Space Marines. They're going to be, again, they're going to be a little bit less durable, but they're going to be harder hitting, which I think is fine. I think they honestly should be harder hitting. And weirdly enough, I can't help but think it's because of the new secret level show and the new game, how much interest it's generated in 40K, and people getting into the game and having the Space Marines just not kill what they think they should be able to kill. And I kind of think that's what it is a little bit, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, anyway. I could be completely off on that. Maybe it's just a balance thing. Okay, let's check out the Munitorum field manual. And I was actually looking at it before. Let's just scroll up here. Alright, so let's start off with the Adeptus Sororitas. Now, they got nerfed, the Exorcist got nerfed, and the Castigator got nerfed, so they're big tanks. Honestly, not surprised. The Exorcist is up to 210 points. Same as the Night Spinner. Join the club, bitch. That's all I have to say there. The Castigator is up to 170. Again, same as a Fire Prism. Join the club. Right? It's still a good model and still probably more competitive overall than a Fire Prism, but there you go. So yeah, Adeptus Sororitas, they didn't take any other nerfs or buffs. We got the Adeptus Custodes. Their jet bikes got increased because, of course, they got their stats increased, which kind of is kind of lame. I don't think you should buff that and then increase their points. Kind of weird. But there you go. Adeptus Mechanicus. They got their robots buffed, guys. Robos. The good old Robos got a little bit cheaper because they're better with that new detachment, which is kind of cool. Nothing with the Adeptus Titanicus. We have the Eldari, and we got a big fat goose egg, guys. Nothing. No nerfs, no buffs. GW has completely forgotten the Eldari. It's like they kind of gave us our new models and they said, you're on your own. Have fun with that because we're not going to pay any attention to you in competitive play, even though you are getting significantly beat down in competitive play, nowadays. Which, by the way, it's not a big deal, right? We're going to have our codex around the corner. I think the main reason we're getting beat down again is because just our units are not tough. We have to play a more MSU style list. I don't think things like the Avatar of Cain and Wraith Bricks are it anymore. And I think that's probably why our win rate's kind of going lower. Yeah. So, Forge World, same thing. No buffs or nerfs. Astra Militarum, several nerfs. Hellhound, for some reason, have no idea why that got nerfed, but it did. We have Cadians are up by 5 points for a squad of 10. We have Catachans up by 10 points for both units. And of course, Catachans were very good for the cost with scouts and everything. The Chimera went up 15 points. Oh man, Imperial Guard players are probably really upset right now. The old Astra Militarum, you know what I mean? Gaunt's Ghosts went up, and that kind of made sense because they were really good. Lord Solar Leontis, not only did he get nerfed, but he got points nerfed. Oh, God, sorry, guys. Ogren's got buffed, or nerfed, excuse me, by 10 points for the big squad. Bulgrins remain untouched, I believe, because they already got nerfed last time. Yeah, they're untouched, which is good. We have Tempestus Achillans going up by 20 points. This was obvious that it was going to happen. It might have been even more points if they didn't get their rules nerfed also. That's a double nerf for them. Not sure many people are going to be running these anymore. Honestly, I think, yeah, I mean, they're almost the same cost as Tempestus Scions now, which got a nerf as well. So plus 10 points for the 5-man unit, plus 20 points for the 10-man unit. Wow. Okay, big nerf there. What else got nerfed? Let's see. I don't think anything else. That's it, but I mean, that was pretty heavy considering they also got nerfed in a couple of other ways. I think this is fine actually because the Imperial Guard were doing so well in competitive play. They were just dominating people over and over again, just slamming them, whirlwind slamming them, whatever. And yeah, they needed some nerfs, guys. They definitely needed some nerfs. And I think they did target the right units here. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the Black Templars. Their repulsor got decreased because it was increased before and now it's decreased again. And then the repulsor executioner got decreased slightly, but it's still pretty expensive. Blood Angels, looks like Sanguinary Guard got buffed slightly, but Mephiston got nerfed slightly. And then we have the Liberator Assault Group. The Rage Field Warrior got increased. We have Chaos Demons. They got a buff to Bloodletters, which makes sense because Bloodletters sucked. And then Screamers got increased in points because they got a buff. Remember, they got a buff to their anti-vehicle, anti-monster weapons. Chaos Knights got a bunch of buffs. Cool. Honestly, not very much buffs, but, you know, it'll buy you another detachment there, which is kind of cool. We got Chaos Space Marines. They got a buff to Bikers for the big squad, which no one took anyway, so that's... No one's still going to take that unit because it's hard to maneuver around. We got Dark Angels. Lionel Johnson got increased by 30 points because all the Primarchs, by the way, I think got a small buff. We got Death Guard, which doesn't look like any buffs or nerfs because they got a pretty good detachment, and they also got, I believe... I can't exactly remember. I just read it out to you guys. But yeah, they got changed in the index too, so why would they get nerfed as well? Death Watch, nothing. Well, that's fine because they just got changed anyway. Oh, okay, so let me get into the Drukhari, because this is one of the big problems I have with GW's balancing here. The Drukhari were not doing that well in competitive play. They went to Worlds, even the best Dark Eldar player in the world went 4 for 4. And honestly, the guy's a madman. He's a mad genius with the Drukhari, Skari. So I just don't understand the nerfs here. Grotesques they nerfed. Did anybody actually run these other than Skari? I don't think so. Scourges got increased again, for whatever reason, even though the Dark Eldar got nerfed last time around. Void Raven Bomber got nerfed. Again, who ran this except for Skari? That's the only person I've seen in competitive play run the Void Raven Bombers and be successful with them. Really, it's just, it racks my mind. And speaking of racks, Rax got a buff. So that's cool. I was just talking about Rax with somebody in the Discord the other day. I can't really remember why I brought Rax in the game that I brought, basically I've brought in Rax a couple times practicing my Dark Eldar, and they suck. They're just not good. So I'm glad they got buffed, but they're still not good. I would still rather take Cobbleites every day of the week than Rax. But anyway, Rax got buffed. But I just don't understand the nerfs here. It just doesn't make much sense to me. And they didn't give any buffs out. Like, the Archon's still 85 points. Like, you know, the only thing that got buffed was, again, Rax, which are one of the worst units. Oh, well, it kind of sucks, but there we go. And of course, I just realized I've been overcharging myself for Talos this whole time. I forgot they got buffed the last couple patches ago. Great, that's fun. So I've been charging myself 180 for Talos. Okay, anyway, that's a Drukhari. You live and you learn. I haven't been playing him much this edition, so there we go. Now, I want to speak to that, actually, because I told you guys that I was going to do more Drukhari content, and I know there's some Drukhari players that listen to this channel. The reason why I haven't been doing it is because I literally think the army is so boring. I play the game with the army, and I'm trying to get better with it. I'm trying to unlock the secrets of the Drukhari here. And I just think they're boring as hell. I think every single unit in the army is, with a few exceptions. I mean, I really love the Kronos. Lil Chrono is awesome. I love the Talos. I think they're cool. But honestly, most of the models are just very boring. I feel like a lot of the units are straight up garbage. You know, like, racks are horrible. They're garbage. Witches are pretty much garbage in most, settings. They're only good in Sky Splinter, and Sky Splinter got a huge nerf to many things. The Void Raven Bomber I ran one time in a tabletop simulator game. It killed not even close to its points worth, which is my fault. I take responsibility for that. I shot the wrong target. But, Void Raven Bomber is up now 235, which is pretty insane. So that's more expensive. It's going to be hard to trade with that thing now. Grotesques, I never wanted to use them in the first place, but now they're more expensive. So there you go. You can't even join a, homunculus to them, which is stupid. There's just a bunch of stuff about the Drukhari Index. It just rubs me the wrong way. I think, honestly, both playstyles are kind of lackluster. We have a really small selection of units to choose from. A lot of the units just don't do much except do damage. They just do damage, right? There's no tricks to them. It's not like the Eldar where you have like really cool move, shoot, move mechanics. You have some stuff, like I really like the Sky Splinter stratagem, which allows witches to move in the assault phase at the end of the turn. That's really awesome. But, when is it really going to be worth it to move 5 witches 9 inches somewhere, or their movement value, which is 8 somewhere, right? Is it really that big of a deal? I mean, yeah, you can get back in a transport, but the transport's just going to blow up afterward, and you're probably going to take damage with the unit anyway. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can position them correctly and make it really hard for your opponent, but it's just one of those situations where it's like a lot of command points getting burned. You don't really have a realistic way to gain command points. A lot of the games that I win with Drukhari are just based on just throwing crap on objectives and see what sticks. Just, throwing stuff out there to score secondaries and expecting it to die, throwing stuff on objectives, move blocking with my forces. If anything has fly, God forbid, it's over, right? If anything could just fly over me or move past me, it's like, well, there goes my whole strategy. So, yeah, I'm just not feeling the Drukhari, honestly, this edition. I can't wait for the Codex to come out so we can see what the Drukhari units are going to bring to the table when it comes to the Ynnari. But pure Drukhari, I just think they need to do something to the army to make it more flavorful. And I'm actually really hoping for a better detachment for Grotsmas. If they give the army a really cool detachment, I'll get right back into them. I'll start playing them again because I love the aesthetic of the Dark Eldar. I love the Taloses. I love the Cronoses. Dear, you know, praise be to Isha, but I guess whatever the Dark Eldar believe, and I mean, they don't worship Slaanesh, so, praise be to, I don't know, the Pleasure Cults, whatever. Hopefully, they get a Kronos and, Talos Coven, Homunculus Coven style detachment where they could just bring a shitload of Taloses and Cronoses, and Racks are good in the detachment, and Grotesques are good in the detachment. Could you imagine a Coven kind of detachment where you can attach Homunculuses to Grotesques? That would actually make them really cool. And you know what? I just thought of this. If that's the case, I would not be mad at the Grotesques going up to 170, because the Homunculus gives them 4+ feel no pain, so that would make total sense, and I think that would be awesome. So hopefully that's the case. We'll see going forward what their detachment is, but if it's Flesh Covens, I'm all for it. I'm back into the Dark Eldar, and I'll do a bunch of videos on it, because I love those models. They're super cool. They're some of my favorite Dark Eldar models in the entire game. Okay, let's move on from them. Sucks that they got nerfed anyway. Genestealer Cult, looks like the Abominant got nerfed. The Achilles Ridgerunners got nerfed, which actually that makes a lot of sense, because I mean, guys, they were being run in tournaments like no other, so that makes sense. And that's it. Everything else stayed the same. Totally understand these two things getting nerfed, though, because they were basically in every list. Grey Knights, the Nemesis Dread Knight went up by a whole whopping 5 points. Oh, my God. The rerolls to hit that they got in the new detachment, that was, it was too powerful, so they had to give them +5. Come on. Honestly, +5 ain't shit. People are still going to max out on Nemesis Dread Knights. There's still going to be Dread Knight maxing. You're not going to see a list without at least a couple Dread Knights in it. So Grey Knights, looking fine. Looks like the Imperial Agents got 1 buff, which they needed more than that, but look at this. Vindicare Assassin, down to 125. No one's going to take it, even so. Vindicare Assassin sucks. We all know that, at least in competitive play. Pural Knights, we got 2 buffs. The Helverin and the Warglaive, the mini Knights, got buffed by 10 points. Good for them. Leagues of Votann, the Brokier Thunderkin, got buffed by 5 points. They got a little cheaper. Good for them. Awesome. Hoping they get a good detachment. I love me some squats. You know, I love the squats. I wish they had a. By the way, if they had a bigger roster, I might actually start playing these guys because I love dwarves. You know, I'm a dwarf and elf man. These guys would be like, a baby faction for me. I'd play them in like 1,000 points for fun, paint them up. Probably. I think I might just paint them up something crazy like pink or some crap. Just paint them up pink or yellow or something and just go to town. It'd be super fun. Okay, Necrons. All the C'tans got nerfed. The Royal Warden got nerfed. The Hexmark Destroyer got nerfed. Guess what got buffs? Immortals, Ghost Ark, Plasmancer, Obsidian Destroyers, Necron Warriors, Canoptic Wraiths. Why? Why did they get buffed? They were super oppressive. And that's why they were so expensive. Now they're cheaper again. Well, I mean, they're not that much cheaper, but still. Right? If you match that up with the Phasmancer buff, it's like, yeah, they're just like they were before now. Now, that doesn't even really piss me off. It's the fact that GW thought it was nice to, like, also not nerf the Doomsday Arc. Like, this thing is putting out so much damage into the midboard now. You're taking 3 of these with the Shatter Shard, or Shatterstar Arsenal, or whatever it's called, the new detachment. My god, this thing's going to be an absolute wrecking ball. How could you not nerf this thing to 200 points or 210 points? People are going to be spamming this. Well, I guess it's going to have to take, a 60% win rate for GW to understand these are going to be OP. So that's what's going to happen. People are, by the way, probably going to stop playing as much Hypercrypt because of the nerfs, and they're probably going to start playing more, Shatterstar Arsenal. Because all these 10 nerfs, I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but people are running like 6 of these things on the battlefield. You just can't do that anymore. You can't run 6 of these anymore because they're all plus 10. So that's plus 60 points to your army. It's just not going to work out. But you can definitely still run 3 of them and stuff. But I think they're more aligned to what they should be now. They should be about 300 points. If they're not almost as much as the Avatar of Cain, then there's something off. Okay, so that's the Necrons. We got the Orcs. They got no buffs. Their Wall got buffed, but their War Boss models went up. Makes sense. Their War Bosses were extremely cheap for what they were, and it was honestly embarrassing. 65 points for a model that can kill Gilliman on charge. Come on, right? We got Space Marines. Their Infernus squad went up, so even though their damage went up and their ability got improved, they did get nerfed. Which, okay, I thought there were 100 points a unit. Turns out there were 80 before. That's pretty good. And now they're 90 points. That's not bad, man. Honestly, and it kind of gives me hope if Fire Dragons end up getting Flamers. I hope they'll be even cheaper than this. They'll be like 80 points for a Flamer unit, but who knows what they'll do with Fire Dragons. Heavy Intercessor squads got nerfed by 15 points, so they got buffed, but they also got nerfed. Oh, so no one's going to bring these again. They're just, I mean, they're a fun unit, but they're not going to be brought. Inceptor squads are going down, of course, because their points got nerfed, which makes total sense to me, or not points, excuse me. Their ability got nerfed, which makes total sense. What I don't understand is Intercessors did not get nerfed. And they got a really powerful ability. They're 80 points, sorry. They're 80 points a unit. What the fuck? Sorry for the F-bomb there, but my god, they're cheap, and they're really good. They're pumping out 20 shots now. That's insane. On top of sticky objectives. That's just way too good, guys. Come on. I mean, that's insane. I guarantee you, though, guys, it's because of the damn show. It's because of the secret level episode, the Warhammer 40k episode. People are going to be getting into Space Marines. What are they going to come to buy? They're going to buy the Intercessors. We already know it. And they want them to be good. So that's it, guys. That's the selling point right there. We discovered it. Marnius Calgar got increased. Of course, Primarch's... Well, he's not a Primarch, but he's kind of a unit. He got increased. What else got increased here? We have Uriel Ventress, plus 20. We got Reaver squads, for some reason, got buffed. I haven't even... Or nerfed. They got nerfed, sorry. And it looks like it's because of the -1 AP on their melee weapons, maybe. Reboot Gilliman got increased by 60 points. He got better. I mean, you know, that sucks. Scout squads got increased. That sucks. But again, all these squads got buffed. So it does make sense. Stern Guards got nerfed, but they needed to get nerfed because of their ability. So yeah, Space Marines are just looking more elite now. Basically is what it is. They're looking more deadly, more elite, which makes sense. Space Wolves, we got Wolf Scouts and Wolfen that got nerfed. The Wolfen makes sense. I don't know about Wolf Scouts, but maybe, right? For objectives and stuff like that. We got the Tau. For some reason, their Tiger Shark got nerfed. For some weird reason, but okay. Stupid. It's not even going to be really relevant anyway. Thousand Suns, nothing changed here. Nor should it have. Tyranids, we got a lot of buffs here. We got the Trigon, which got buffed. Again, makes sense. It did get nerfed, right? We got the Tyrant Guard, which also got buffed. Again, no one was taking those. Norn Emissary and Norn Assimilator both got buffed. They needed to get buffed, honestly. They were just a little bit too fragile for the cost. So, yeah. Agree with the Tyranids. And is that it? Oh, we got World Eaters. No changes on World Eaters. Sad World Eaters. No buffs there. Okay, that's it. That's it for the review. I mean, I have to say, I think the Eldar are going to be looking in a pretty good position if we go back to the old MSU, right? Even though we didn't see any changes. If we go back to MSU style, I think we're better off for it. I think things like Wraithguard, Avatar of Cain, you know, those big tough units that a lot of people like taking. Honestly, I think they're fine in regular games, but I think if you're going to a GT or tournament and you match into something like Necrons or Grey Knights or even the new Space Marines, yikes, you're going to be in trouble. Because Wraithguard are kind of just a big target now. The Avatar of Cain is kind of just a big target. You know, I highly doubt that they're going to be effective in competitive play going forward. I may be wrong, but I'm just looking at it from my own perspective of seeing all these new detachments people are going to take. And you're going to be surprised how quickly the Avatar of Cain and the Wraithguard are going to go down. I mean, Wraithguard already go down super quick to Doomsday Arcs, and now they're re-rolling all their hits, they're re-rolling all their wounds, you know, against you. It's going to be insane. They're just going to blast you off the table. It might not even take all three of them. It might just take two of them to just blast you off the table. And then, of course, one of them can just reactive move back when you shoot at it in that detachment. So that's going to be really hard to deal with. I think it's going to be really hard to deal with Grey Knights being able to just dump mortal wounds on anything on objectives. It's going to be pretty insane. You know, Wraithguard are usually pretty good at taking out Grey Knights, but with all those mortal wound spams, I don't know. It's going to be tough. So yeah, I think it's going to be an uphill battle for those types of units. But other than that, I think the Eldar are looking pretty good. I think we'll probably get a little bit better even, dare I say, before we get to the new codex. I think we're sitting at like a 47% win rate right now, 46. So it's not too good. It's slipped down a little bit. But, you know, I think we're looking to be better, honestly, going forward. All right, everybody, that is going to be it for today's video. I have a video coming out later on. And again, sorry if there's some background noise. It's just, you know, it's trash day, and the trash guy decided to come right when I was doing my video. So there you go. But anyway, if you want to support the channel, I have free trials open on my Patreon. You're welcome to join. We have tons of cool players on there. It's totally free. You just have to cancel the free trial before it's up. And yeah, that's about it. It's going to be a really good time. So look forward to seeing you there. I'll leave the link in the description. I also have a channel store page and an Amazon affiliate link that you can check out as well. Grab some Christmas gifts for your friends, troll them with Aeldari, you know, designs and apparel, or buy it for yourself. And yeah, that's about it. I'll see you guys next time, everybody. Have a great one, and remember to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Peace out, guys. See you next time.